Welcome, MechWarrior. You're accessing beginner-level training manuals provided by Ronin Fox Armored Security. Because this is a beginner-level training course, there will be some restrictions applied, including no usage of Lost Tech, no usage of Cantina upgrades, and no mods such as yet another mech lab. However, DLC will be permitted. In this issue, you'll receive a tactical debriefing on the Cataphract CTF-1X. This will include its specifications, strengths, weaknesses, an example of how to recustomize it, and conclude with an annotated BattleROM for educational purposes. Let us begin. The Cataphract CTF-1X. Weight class, heavy, battle role, brawler, availability, baseline, uncommon, threat level, moderate. Description. The CTF-1X is a Capellan Confederation engineered mech that first went into production in the year 3025. It is a new mech which is noteworthy as the powers of the Inner Sphere have traditionally not chosen to engineer new mechs and instead have used pre-existing models. It is also known as a Franken-mech, a slang term referring to a mech that has been completed with donor components from other BattleMechs. However, the Cataphract is not a roughshod, jury-rigged model. Instead, it was engineered professionally from the ground up, incorporating an excess supply of Marauder, Shadowhawk, and Phoenix Hawk components. CTF-1X Specifications. Maximum weight, 70 tons. Minimum weight, 29 tons, standard structure. Top speeds, 64 kilometers forward, 43 kilometers reverse, standard engine. Armor, 342 units. This is 11 tons of standard armor. 446 units maximum armor. This is 13.93 tons. The CTF-1X could be considered as moderately well armored. Weapons, autocannon 10 single fire, right torso. 1 ton of autocannon 10 ammo. This is 40 rounds, right torso. PPC, right arm, 4 medium lasers, 1 in each of the arms and 1 in each of the side torsos. 1 heavy hand actuator rated at 20 damage, left arm. 1 heavy lower arm rated at 10 damage, right arm. 6 additional heat sinks. CTF-1X battlefield role, strengths, and weaknesses. The Cataphract 1X is known as a Brawler-type mech. Brawlers are frontline mechs that carry flexible weapons, able to engage enemies at all ranges, ensuring they are never totally caught off guard and always have some way to respond. They traditionally have 2 main functions. The first is to form a battle line and protect fire support mechs such as missile boats and sniper mechs, as brawlers also have limited long-range weapons able to contribute to the bombardment and then intercept enemies who try to attack the fire support mechs. Another role is to escort Juggernaut-type mechs, which are mechs that forego most long-range weapons for a devastating close-range punch. In this case, the Brawlers provide long-range and mid-range capabilities to the otherwise vulnerable Juggernaut mech. They intercept the initial attacks intended to hit the Juggernaut mech. Then, with tactical flexibility in mind, they decide whether to join the Juggernaut in close-range combat or back off and provide mid-range fire support. The primary strength of the CTF-1X is that while it does have weapons capable of engaging at all ranges as a brawler would, the weapons are also capable of all being used at close range. This is because it forgoes the usage of an LRM system, which would be jammed by a close-range enemy, meaning the CTF-1X has a very powerful close-range punch. The primary weaknesses of the CTF-1X include its very low ammo supply for the AC-10, only 40 rounds. Its heat systems will be overloaded by repeat use of the PPC and medium lasers, and its armor, while adequate, could be heavier for a mech expected to take a lot of damage on the front line. CTF-1X Recustomization. Ronin Fox Armored Security recommends the following Cataphract build to the novice MechWarrior, and it will not change the mech's originally intended role, that of a brawler. Start with a stripped-down chassis and reintroduce the PPC. Next, add an AC-5 in place of the AC-10. The weapon weighs less, freeing up more tonnage for other aspects of the Cataphract. The AC-5 also fires farther, which will pair well with the PPC. In addition to that, if we compare the damage per minute average of the AC-5 and the AC-10, you will find that they both cause 200 damage. The AC-5, 5 damage times 40 rounds per minute is 200. The AC-10, 10 damage per round times 20 rounds per minute, also 200. In a bombardment-style role for sustained engagements, as this Cataphract is intended to do, that means that the AC-5 will be an excellent choice here. It does not invalidate that a AC-10 is still not a useful weapon, however. Next, add 1.5 tons of AC-5 ammo. This is 120 rounds. Add them to the legs that tend to be less damaged than other parts of the BattleMech. Next, add 4 medium lasers short burst. This is a personal preference. The standard medium laser will also do. Short burst lasers are DLC weapons, and the medium laser short burst specifically will do more damage per minute than a standard medium laser. But once again, the standard medium laser is perfectly reasonable. Next, maximize the mech's armor and tune all 3 rear armor sections to 15 armor, moving the rest to the front. This Cataphract is intended to be a static, face-to-face battle mech, so its armor in the rear is not as important. You could even go lower than 15 if you wish, but this is a safe amount of rear armor for the mech. Next, remove 0.43 tons of armor from the Cataphract 1X's head and legs to even out the remaining tonnage of the mech. This will give the redesigned Cataphract 1X 13.5 tons of armor from the original 11 tons. With the remaining tonnage, add 7 heat sinks, which is 1 more heat sink than the original had. CTF-1X BattleROM footage, provided by Ronin Fox Armored Security, is a battle situation featuring the recustomized CTF-1X demonstrating its redesigned combat capabilities. Mission type, battlefield. Difficulty, 56. Drop weight, 265. Allies include a Thunderbolt TDR-5S and 2 Jägermech JM6As. These are all in their stock configuration. Pilot skill, veteran. This battle took place on the planet Tikhonov during the 4th Succession War. You are seeing the perspective of one of Ronin Fox Armored Security's fire support lances, designation Breaker Lance. Specifically, you are seeing the BattleROM footage from Breaker 1. Breaker Lance's objective is to perform a rearguard action for the retreating Capellan Confederation armed forces leaving the planet of Tikhonov by simulating resistance at a scuttled firebase. The intention is to provoke an overcommitment of resources from the invading Crucis Lancers, who will find an otherwise abandoned military firebase. The battle begins with the Crucis Lancer's heavy recon probe discovering Breaker Lance's position. Because Breaker Lance is a fire support lance, Breaker 1 and 2, the Brawler mechs, set up a front line to shield Breaker 3 and 4, the much lighter Jaeger mechs, from attack. As the probe comes into visual range, they're revealed to be a Hunchback and a Panther. In response, Breaker 1 and 2 stay in formation and do not approach the Crucis Lancers. This ensures that the Crucis Lancers' short-range weapons remain ineffective for as long as possible, while the mid- and long-range capabilities of Breaker 1 and 2 join the extreme long-range capabilities of Breaker 3 and 4. This illustrates how the Cataphract 1X escalates its damage as the enemies approach it, and that there is no need for the Cataphract to approach the enemy instead. Shortly later, an Igor heavy gunship diverts off of its combat air patrol, receiving requests for reinforcements from the heavy probe. However, it is brought down at significant range by the CTF-1X's autocannon 5. The Crucis Lancers then surround Breaker Lance, attacking from both directions in the pass. To compensate, Breaker 2 is ordered to hold position on the left flank while Breaker 1 moves to cover on the right flank, encircling Breaker 3 and 4 with as much coverage as possible. The first to arrive is a Jenner, normally a very slippery mech. However, the CTF-1X's highly accurate medium lasers are quickly capable of breaching the Jenner's armor. Breaker 1 then diverts to reinforce Breaker 2, currently in battle with an incoming Marauder. With the front line formed, the withering firepower of Breaker 3 and 4's AC-2s and LRM-15s begin to quickly wear down the armor of the Marauder. Breaker 1 and 2 do not approach the Marauder in close combat, once again, the strength of the formation being superior to a close combat option. With the fall of the Marauder, the primary threat, Breaker 3 and 4 quickly destroy the remaining light vehicles. The diversion ploy appears to be successful as the Crucis Lancers land a Cyclops supported by a Trebuchet and 3 Warrior attack helicopters. The Warriors are intercepted on their approach while the Trebuchet begins its counter-bombardment against Breaker Lance and the Cyclops begins its approach. Breaker 1 and 2 successfully intercept the Cyclops and divert it off its course towards Breaker 3 and 4, protecting them from the dangerous AC-20, while Breaker 3 and 4 counter-bombard the Trebuchet. The heavily reinforced armor of the Brawler mechs, combined with not engaging in unnecessary, damaging close-range combat, allows Breaker 1 and 2 to survive the attack of the Cyclops. The remaining Trebuchet has taken significant damage from the counter-bombardment of Breaker 3 and 4, and combined attack from the entire lance quickly breaks it apart. At last, Breaker 1 signals for retreat as the Crucis Lancers' heavy assault vanguard appears with 2 Battlemasters supported with medium mechs. Breaker Lance has no chance of holding back an entire regiment of Crucis Lancers and moves to withdraw with the rest of the Capellan Confederation armed forces from the planet of Tikhonov. A post-battle report shows that Breaker 1 and 2 did indeed successfully screen for Breaker 3 and 4. They reported minor damage, their mechs required little maintenance, and were quickly ready for a redeployment after some R&R. This concludes the tactical debriefing for the Cataphract CTF-1X. In the event that you should face one of these or gain control of one of them yourself, you now have a better understanding of the mech's capabilities, specifications, and how to recustomize it for greater effectiveness. Thank you for choosing Ronin Fox Armored Security. Alrighty, hope you guys enjoyed this guide. I think I'm going to go kind of in a pattern of like light, medium, heavy assault and just keep going like that till I do each of the mechs. I'm going to do each of the kind of classic variants. Then after that, maybe we'll talk about hero mechs. Maybe we'll talk about other variants. Maybe we'll talk like highly optimized stuff like that. But right now, let's just focus on the basics. Also, adding a little bit more to the Ronin Fox Armored Securities lore. Good gravy. We're on the Capellan Confederation side. Yes. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. Till next time, like the video if it was entertaining, subscribe for more MechWarrior 5 content. At the end of the day, remember that you don't have to be good to get good.